Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Dungeons and Dopamine. Ta-da!
Hi, and welcome to Dungeons and Dopamine.
Episode 34.
Yep. Again. It's like the Groundhog Day episode. We just keep repeating episode 34 again and again and again.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
You will be. Anyway, I'm Bre.
I'm Jess, and I'm an interrupter.
Yes. This is a new... I got nothing.
It's a new day.
It's a new day. I was gonna try to come up with like a self-help group for interrupters, or like self-help group for awkward people.
Intros.
So you're like an interrupter and I'm just awkward. I don't know.
You're an interrupter and I'm an awkward person.
And for some reason we have a podcast. 72 episodes of it.
Yeah. Holy moly.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of episodes.
It is a lot of episodes.
It is, in fact, 20 more than 50.
Which means
So you know.
we're nearly a year and a half into this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I just said and it made me think of something. I was editing an episode. It was actually the second phase of the Diet Love Pass episode.
Okay.
I don't know how you got through that episode with me. Why didn't you punch me in the face? I said every other word.
I just let it happen because I'm just no, I'm not. I don't know why it's like I'm paying you back, but I just figure it has to balance out for all the you had to cut out of mine, especially in the beginning.
Oh, it was so bad. And I think because I was sort of just going off the top of my head to reiterate the story that I had already told quickly and effectively, it was not effective. I swear there were like 12 minutes of ums. So then I'm and the worst is when I would I would be in the middle of a sentence and I would say and then I would keep going. Too fast for me to actually click out and edit.
Of course.
I think we should have like little zappy things that we wear every time you interrupt your own self and every time I say
We'll have like 5 weeks of awful episodes.
Ow.
And then it'll get really good.
It's going to be amazing. Just gotta wait. Because as bad as I am for interrupting you, you also love to interrupt yourself.
I interrupt myself constantly.
I'll be editing and I'm like, I hope everyone knows that was her brain, not my editing.
It's not just Jessica cutting Brienne off in the middle of her sentences. She does that herself.
I just hated where you were going with that. Really, in 4 years, you're going to find out that it actually isn't you, and it is me just cutting you off,
You're
and
just
I'm
gaslighting me.
I'm sorry.
Go back to my psychiatrist. She's going to be like, I just really don't think you do that.
Healthy for you.
I've never noticed you do that before. Jessica says I do it all the time.
I do it constantly. No, I think it's honestly the ADHD.
Oh, absolutely.
Same reason I can't always think of the right words, because my brain has already moved on from that sentence.
Exactly.
So anything I was going to say is gone.
My brain is like, have you thought about wait, other idea. Even better idea.
I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this, except I just thought of something better. This is such a better way to explain this to you.
You just solved the whole world's problems in one instant thought.
Yes. So, I don't know. I mean, I know I have to cut out ums from both of us quite a lot. It just is what it is. It's a filler word. And so.
I tried to get away from and I just switched it to so.
It's so,
and
yeah.
so. And then so.
But that episode was particularly gnarly. Hopefully no one will have to suffer through that. They'll just have to know that I had to suffer through it. It's punishment for myself.
Poor editor Jessica. We should buy her great Christmas presents.
You know, she would love a cupcake. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. So I got some really cool news today.
Yay!
And I'm not pregnant, by the way.
Oh, God.
No one,
that would not be
please.
great news.
No, that would be
awful
shocking
news.
and terrifying. I just don't want anybody to be like, wow.
I heard it on the podcast.
So I got really good news. But, so I told Ryan, oh, you should have gotten me a cupcake or a cake or something to celebrate. And then I realized his birthday was July 6th.
You were busy, okay?
I still haven't gotten him his cookie cake for his birthday. I was telling him, I was going to tell you to get that for me and then realized I never got it for you.
So, I got this for both of us.
Yeah, I knew that weekend was going to be bad because everybody was coming over for the 4th of July. I was like, we're going to have a ton of junk food. And I guess to be completely frank and totally selfish, I didn't want to share it.
No, that's fair.
It was, a birthday thing, not an everybody thing.
Yeah.
And I was right. We had a ton of food that weekend. We were exhausted. It's not like we even wanted it, really. And then the next week, we went into Crumble and got a whole box of cookies, which lasts us a long time because you can cut them into like half or 4. And
right.
You're still happy after you're done with that little bit. And then the next week was something else. And then, like, just recently we got donuts from Krispy Kreme because we went to Grand Rapids. Exactly. So it was like I never had the opportunity to think, oh, we should get the cookie cake until I suggested that he get me a celebration cake.
Hey, we should celebrate me.
Look, all you were was born. I earned something awesome. Yeah, sorry, I don't know where that came from, but it's better than
Yes.
Okay, bye.
That's episode 72, guys. Trying this new format where we just talk for 5 minutes and then call it good.
Done. Bye. And we're not going to make sense of the ending or anything. We're just going to say bye and shut it off.
Gone.
Done. We're done. This is done. So, how are you feeling?
Great.
No, you're not. You're stressed.
So stressed. Always.
So 2 weeks ago, we talked about motivation, and a few weeks before that, we kind of talked about kindness, and basically we just keep talking through our feelings, essentially.
We're just using this as
It's
therapy sessions. Hopefully it's therapy for you guys too.
Right. Hopefully you can talk back and like, I totally disagree with you. You guys are idiots. Or like, you guys are completely right. This is such a great idea. So this week, I thought we should talk about stress.
What?
Let's talk
We
about
don't know
stress,
anything about
baby.
stress.
Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things. I mean, it all fits.
Absolutely.
Because stress can be good.
Yes, it can help push you to get things done. It can help. I am actually an ADHD person that needs a little bit of that push. But then as soon as it gets to be a certain point, it's too much. And then I shut down.
I have a stress sweet spot. I don't know where it is.
No.
I know it's approximately an inch big.
Sometimes it shrinks.
Yeah.
And then it's too much. And I can't tell you what it is on a daily basis.
But if I don't have any stress, then I will soon have stress because I have done nothing.
Yes.
Because
I wasn't stressed enough to do it.
Yeah. All I needed to do today was sit here.
So, stress actually can also be really, really bad for you.
Yes.
I actually started to do a topic on this, and it made me really sad. And sad in a different way than, like, the gross, horrible guy who killed his best friend, or, disappearances or creepy stuff. Sad, like, I've probably done this to myself a lot. A few things. I actually have a list. This is from prevention.com, so a nice, mildly, at one time probably, medical leaning.
Yeah, they're probably relatively reliable for this information.
Yes. So just some of the stress can be scary, and I don't think we take it seriously enough. So it's saying that it can make you eat poorly because one, if you're stressed, you're usually busy. You don't have the time to cook properly. You don't have the time to find those nutritious meals. And your body kind of wants that dopamine.
We know a little bit about that.
We should play that Pee Wee Herman sound whenever he would say the word of the day. Want. Every time we say dopamine. Everyone will stop listening.
Yeah, that is how we will lose all of our listeners. One sound effect.
So yes, they can be triggered by that lack of dopamine, which is because you're stressed. You don't have the happy feels. You get the cortisol changes and just those different effects on your body where you go, I need sugar.
I don't want to eat vegetables. I want chips and chocolate.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And in that same vein, it can stop you from exercising. And that's...
Which is ridiculous, because the best way to deal with stress is to exercise, but nothing about my life will let me exercise when I'm stressed.
Yeah. Well, and stress sucks away your energy. Literally consumes your energy to be stressed. So you cannot get up and exercise, even though you might even kind of want to, or you should.
And it'll give you dopamine and good endorphins, and you're going to feel great when you're done.
But instead you eat french fries, which actually sound delicious right now.
Can you have Ryan make us some french fries, please?
He did bring us the box of cooked french fries.
Please.
We're the bag of frozen fries. On the same vein of eating, it can lead you to those addictive behaviors. Alcohol, drugs, those help lower your concern about stress, and they give you the dopamines. So it's really easy to lean on them when you're feeling overstressed and not go solve your problems. It can interfere with your sleep.
No.
Not at all. I know I will lay awake and think of the lists of stuff that I need to accomplish.
Or you wake up after a dream because you had an awful nightmare because you're stressed.
Yes.
And then you can't get back to sleep.
And I worked at a job that was an absolute atrocity and was just awful. And I would dream of it at night because I was so stressed and so busy that and it was always bad. I never woke up feeling good. It can throw off your menstrual cycle.
Sure can. Can make it start early, can make it start late.
But yeah, you can suddenly, so you're stressed and you miss your cycle.
So then you're more stressed.
You're heading to the drugstore to find out if you're having a baby.
For your $14 pregnancy test.
This one I didn't actually know. It can lead to fertility problems.
Really?
It is likely related to those interrupted cycles. And it can lead to a surprise pregnancy.
Because you don't know what your cycle is.
Yes. I knew this one. It can make you more susceptible to illness, which is super great. It's exactly what you need when you're really busy and you have a list to do of things.
Yeah, like just before an election or another big event that you have to run.
Vacation and construction combined. It can trigger health issues, which kind of goes along the same lines like shingles.
Oh, yeah,
I used to work with a woman who would she was in a very stressful time of her life, would occasionally just break out in shingles. And it was awful.
Herpes works the same way, whether
Really?
it's the genital type or like just the cold sore
Really?
version. Yeah, a lot of people will have cold sore flares when
Oh.
they are stressed out.
Ironically, that is the next point in this article.
Sorry.
How dare you? It can also cause acid reflux, exacerbate acid reflux, and cause ulcers.
Stress is great.
I'm just very disappointed in you. Can mess with, which I'm just learning now about gut function and how important your gut health is. It can mess with your gut health and your gut function, and that apparently can affect every single thing you do.
Yes, I think this is kind of new research. I want to say within the last decade even is when we really started hearing about how your gut health can affect everything else in your life, because it's where all your nutrition happens, right? All of your vitamins and everything is basically taken in your intestines and in your digestive system. So if you're not getting the right vitamins and nutrition from your food and everything, then obviously it's going to screw up all different sorts of your life or parts of your life, and it's stress, sleep, everything it can slow down your digestion, which then obviously can lead to all kinds of issues, or it can overstimulate your digestion, which leads to different sorts of issues. It's crazy.
It's insane, but it can ruin your nails. Stress, not gut health.
Well, both.
Maybe,
probably.
Yeah.
Just like because you chew on them, or
you're chewing on them, and your cortisol level can stop your nails from growing.
Interesting.
Scary.
Wild.
So, I mean, that one's not going to keep you home from work, but
it's good to know.
Absolutely. It can lower sex drive and your ability to perform sexually. And that is because you're tired, you're irritable, your
stomach's upset.
Yeah.
You're thinking about other things. You can't focus on the moment.
And think if you're overstimulated by everything throughout the day, nighttime when you're laying in bed trying to relax is not the time that you want to start being frisky.
Right. I don't want to be touched. I'm overstimulated. I'm done with the day. I just want to be in a dark room.
Exactly. You're also breathing too loud, so please go away.
Please find a new bedroom.
It can elevate your blood pressure, which we are pretty familiar with.
Which can cause a whole lot of issues.
Oh my gosh.
Let me tell you.
Very serious medical issues.
Heart issues, kidney issues.
Which also, I guess, goes into the next one. It can increase your risk of a heart attack or of stroke. And that is because of all the chemicals that are now new in your body, the anxiety, what is it that makes your heart race? We were just talking about it. Adrenaline. The adrenaline burst, making your hearts. I have 2 hearts. I am a Time Lord. Sorry you all had to find out this way.
Just a slip of the tongue made her announce it.
Darn it. Not that I couldn't have cut that out, but
Nope.
It wasn't an
It has to stay forever now.
So, very interesting there. It's terrifying that you can die because you're stressed out.
Yeah.
And what is that going to do for you? It's going to put you in the hospital where you're going to remember all the things you're not able to do.
And the bill that you're about to get.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. It can aggravate respiratory and other medical problems. So
asthma.
Yep, you've got or you've got a cold or COVID. That's on right on top of it. It can mess with your metabolism, which can lead to obesity, poor eating choices, all of that. This one is so obvious it can make you moody, very clearly. It can aggravate depression symptoms, which is something that seems obvious, but it's not something I just thought of right off the top of my head.
Right.
When I think of stress. Because you can start feeling like you're failing, or I've let people down because I didn't get this done on time. Or
I think people usually associate stress more with anxiety.
Yes.
But absolutely, so maybe it starts as anxiety, but if you're continually feeling like you're failing or that you're not getting things done or whatever, that can definitely then lead to depression.
Especially if you are trying to portray an image and you're not living up to that image. It can make you more susceptible to seizures, which...
That was so proper. Good job.
It had to be. I'm not sure how they have studied this, but it can contribute to dementia. I'm not sure how they would have studied it. It just says one study found that women who had been through significant midlife stressors had a 65% higher risk.
Holy cow.
So
that's a lot.
It's horrible. It can slow down your healing, whether it's wound or sickness. It can increase your risk of type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
I mean, chemically, your body's freaking out, and you're eating poorly. So I guess it makes and not exercising.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can induce headaches, which I think we've all felt the stress headaches,
or neck aches, or back aches.
Yes, it can ruin your hair, which also makes sense, and it can make you feel dizzy or jittery or
that anxious, awful feeling.
Just woozy, icky feel. So I guess I did go through those just because I feel like stress isn't taken seriously.
And we've talked about this before on our podcast, but we, especially in the United States, we're in such an awful time of like, you have to grind and you have to hustle, and you if you aren't stressed, you aren't doing it right, basically.
Right.
I feel like we're getting away from it, especially our generation and the next generation.
Yes.
But I do still feel like we're part of this, like, if you're not stressed, then you're not succeeding.
Right. You're not trying hard
Yeah.
enough. And you're not taking enough on. You're living the easy life. You're doing it too simple.
Part of the reason I avoided our class reunion is because I was afraid it was going to be a lot of that. Because we're still of that generation where I felt like it was going to be a lot of people like, oh, I work a lot and I do this and this and this, and and I have a family, but that's not important. I'm killing myself to go to work every day and be successful and have a lot of money.
I wonder if it stems from I'm not saying anything bad about our parents in particular, but I wonder if it stems from the generation who raised us.
Oh, absolutely.
And our grandparents, like their ages as well, or their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but we were of that, especially, we're right in the cusp of, you still had to do paper resumes, or applications. You had to walk into the store, you had to ask for an application, you had to fill it out and bring it back.
You had to dress nicely for that, just in
Yes.
case the manager or whoever hires happen to be there and see you.
Yep.
And then dress nicely when you bring it back. And then call if you don't hear from them.
Yep.
And then dress nicely for the interview.
Yep.
Do your canned interview, which you stayed up all night practicing questions for.
It was definitely that we could still do that thing that, boomers said you could do, where you walked in and shook their hand and said, I'm looking for a job. Mm-hmm. I do feel like, maybe not you and I, because we'd be like, job? But other people who, could charisma through stuff.
Right. You give me job?
Money?
Please?
Money?
Need job.
Cargo room, need the
I
cash.
show up, you pay me?
Exactly us. That's still us.
Yep.
So yeah, I kind of agree that
Like bootstraps.
Yes.
You work hard, you go to college, you get a job where you work 60 hours a week and you be happy about it.
and you don't worry about missing your kids' first steps or their dance recitals or their fill in the blank football games. You just didn't. Nope, that's just how life is.
It's just kid stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not sure where I was going with all of that. Stress is very serious. Is
yes.
like the idea that I was going for.
And our generation is still, I feel like, being pushed into that. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Work harder, work longer.
The more you work, the more you'll earn.
Yeah.
No, pay me what...
Pay me what I'm worth. Well, and we live in a day and age where technology has made us connected all the time. So
Yes.
people, I just had the conversation with my mother-in-law. She still has friends that get mad at her if she doesn't answer a text right away or answer a phone call.
Like their Facebook post on time.
Yeah.
Or not her in particular, but... Or have, remember the MySpace Top 8?
Yeah.
You had to be in that.
Right. And even in my real estate business, like there are still agents out there that, if you don't answer your phone every time it rings, you're losing business. Or I won't work with agents that don't answer their phone every time. But I have a lot of stuff going on. I might be peeing. Like, I don't feel the need to answer my phone every time. But I do feel like I'm being shamed for that.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like I'm shamed if I take an afternoon off to go on a field trip with my kid.
Yeah.
Or if I don't respond to a text message at 10:30 at night from a client.
Yes.
Because we live in a day and age where everybody just thinks instantaneously, I should get my answer.
Need an answer. I'm really, really lucky because one of my bosses works a full-time job and then assists with things after. I'll get a message from them and it'll say, I do not expect you to reply to me today. Because I was. And I did not understand that maybe that wasn't their expectation. I should have known. Like, looking back, I'm like, well, of course that's what they think. That's how they run their business. It's very family-oriented. They're very understanding. But I was nervous about that.
And with your previous jobs, I can see why.
Yes. So it was very refreshing to get that and to finally realize the understanding is there that I don't, despite the fact that they can only work at evening hours or that they're maybe a night owl, they're very understanding that I am not.
They
or
don't
that
expect
I can't
that
be.
from you.
And I really appreciate that. I have, in fact, actually turned off emails from work coming to my phone. I can still check them if I feel like something is urgent and I need to know, but I don't get notifications.
I do the same thing with my township email.
Yes. It's kind of a game changer, which I didn't realize how much I really would check all those emails, and a lot of mine are thanks for getting that to me, or could you
stuff
check
you
on
don't
this?
need,
or and I was still pulling them up and checking them in the middle of a conversation. And
I was finding stuff that I couldn't deal with because I was at home or it was the weekend. I would see the email on like Saturday, and then my whole weekend is ruined because I know that when I go in on Monday, I'm going to have to deal with this awful FOIA request or this stupid election thing.
Yep.
And it just... So, yeah, turning that off, only looking at it if it's like my day off and I need to look something up, or not like my weekend off, but my weekday off.
And then you feel like maybe, that was kind of urgent. I'm going to keep an eye on that. There's something that happened yesterday that I didn't have to fix it or anything right that moment, but I was very curious about it. And I kept my eyes on it, but got to a point in the evening where we ate dinner and stuff, and I just stopped. I didn't worry about it. And that was refreshing, and I like that a lot. So change of pace, is there anything that you have found that really helps you? I mean, I guess it's not change of pace, it's along the same lines. That help you with the stress?
Obviously, trying to get my own self organized, and
which we've been going through a lot with you.
And then having the functionality to deal with everything. Because I've been in this kind of stressed out burnout situation for so long and doing so much with the very little time that I have. I've just been, scrambling and basically treading water, trying to function, and it means a lot of things got left or slipped between the cracks or got missed, which is then more stressful.
Right.
So having good routines and having good systems and having good organization definitely helps.
Yes.
But also just having a good outlet.
Yes.
There is always going to be stressed. I am always, no matter what, I could have the easiest life ever. There is still going to be stress.
You could win the lotto and have billions of dollars, and there will still be something.
Yeah, and there's always external things we can't control. Health, the world, the environment, our kids' schools. There's always going to be outside stressors. So having friends and family that I can talk to, people that understand that I just need to vent. My husband and I are working on, are you just venting to me, or are you looking for a fix?
Yes.
So that I can just get the stress out without feeling like I have to deal with it, right? But also setting those boundaries, being able to say, no, I'm just stressed out. I just need to vent. I don't even want to fix this tonight. I don't want to think about it anymore. I just need to yell.
And it does really help. I found it really helps me to get it off my chest. Especially if it's something, I'm very hard on myself, so if I make a mistake or something, whether it's at work, whether it's in, like with Carly, if I feel like I've yelled at her for no reason or said something that could have lasting effects, it helps a lot to get that out. But yeah, it is, I do not want you to fix this. I just want you to listen.
Right.
I do also find, and this is a lot harder than it sounds, I find that, just for example, right now my situation is completing this project that has been very long and very, I guess, just consuming. Very consuming. My whole house is a mess because of it. The work is coming to an end, and for some reason it's the most stressful part. I think it's just because I want it done. there's that. Then there's a vacation. And then my work is fabulous. And I do only work my hours. But
You still have to work.
yes, exactly. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm working and it's busy. And then you still have life. Kids still got cheer and school started. And so there's just, and a big family surgery this year, which I haven't had to deal a whole lot with, but it was very stressful, just of the worry and the concern and the facing that people in your family might be aging.
Yeah, well, and how it changes your life, because now you don't have backup for babysitting.
Yeah. What helps me a lot is to sort of pull back. I picture like a camera in my mind and a big long timeline of my life, and I take the camera and I pull it back so I can see more. Because right now I'm focused on whether it be a month or 6 months or a year, and it's very daunting. But if I pull back and really look at the bigger picture of time and what I actually need, some of it just doesn't seem so concerning. And I can think, well, in reality, you do have more time than you think you do to complete this, or to do this, or to finish this, or, you know, I can't change when Carly goes back to school.
Right.
But I can change how important it is for her to have a whole new wardrobe, or, which, by the way, she didn't get anything for school this year because she already has too many clothes. Shoes. She did get a pair of shoes.
Yep, we did shoes, I think 2 shirts.
Yeah. I haven't even bought her anything.
And a backpack.
So, yeah, backpack, for sure. But yeah, I looked and I thought, let's be frank, she has a full closet, and we're actually going to have to downsize because she's going to have a new bedroom. It's going to have a new closet, and it's much smaller. I don't want to deal with it. So, zooming out, I know that's a kind of silly analogy.
No, I love it.
But it just helps me to think, wow, this timeline is so much bigger than my brain allows it to be. And it really helps.
I love that. And I think it illustrates really well our different brains,
Yeah.
which sometimes, doing this podcast, and especially the time we spend together, I think, especially our friends think we're a lot alike.
Yes.
But it's always interesting to me, like, how you visualize things different.
Yes.
And that's not something that would probably work for me because I don't visualize the same way you do. So
exactly.
Mine is more like, okay, I will sit down and it doesn't work every time. It's not great advice if you are a very anxious person, but sometimes I just sit down and say, okay, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
So I don't get my list done today.
Yeah.
Like,
what are the consequences?
What are the consequences going to be? Oh, well, I'm going to be disappointed in myself. My kid might not have brand new clothes for school. Does it matter?
Exactly.
No.
He's not going to get made fun of for the clothes he does have.
Right.
Because they're still clean and tidy. He's not... Yeah.
And kids his age don't remember what he was wearing last year, so it's not like they're going to be like, didn't you wear that last year?
Yeah. And it's essentially we're doing the same thing in that respect. It's just more, like you said, it's just different ways of viewing it.
Or the question, I'll see it a lot as advice, the question, is this going to matter in 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 years, whatever?
Yes.
Is me not getting this done on time really gonna matter? And if you set an arbitrary date for having construction completed,
right,
and you really wanted to get there by that date, okay, but what's the worst that could happen?
Exactly. What's gonna happen if it's not complete by then?
Is it gonna matter to anybody but me?
Right.
No.
Am I hosting a huge party where everybody needs to be in that area?
No.
Or yes.
Yeah.
And now I need to maybe rearrange some other stuff. Maybe I need to ask work if I can take some time off. Maybe I need to
ask for help.
Yes, ask for help. Ask someone to keep Carly out of the house for a couple hours. And that pulling out and looking from a distance really helps with that and puts it into an easier to handle perspective. I did it a little for the 4th of July. I was very stressed about how much we had to have done because I wanted to show people what we'd accomplish. And finally decided it is very important to me that the house is tidy for this, because if we had to be inside because it rained, I didn't want everybody to be uncomfortable. We needed places to sit. We didn't want to have to scoop up a pile of Barbies to sit there.
Get the dog tumbleweeds cleaned up.
Exactly.
In case there are allergies.
Yep. And we don't want it in the food, so let's make sure the kitchen's nice. And that became more important to me. So I said, all right, you know what? We're going to work until this day on the upstairs, and what's done will be done. And it worked out really nicely. We did manage, and we were really happy with what we had done both ways. And the house looked great. And we were able to get the yard mowed and get the bounce house set up. And yeah, we have a bounce house.
It's amazing.
They're very much more attainable now.
Right?
I also bought it at an auction for like $45. Yeah. Planning ahead is really helpful for me. I know some people really struggle with that, and I understand. Ryan really struggles with that. He has a lot of time blindness, like your time blindness. Mine is the opposite, I think, because of trauma. We laugh.
Am I the trauma?
Yes. You were late so many times.
My time blindness made you super anxious about being everywhere on time.
Exactly.
It's going to be Connor.
Oh, I'm trying to think if I had any other
do you have any, so I know, and we kind of talked about this already, but do you have any like physical outlets for stress? So like exercise is supposed to be one of the best stress relievers, and it doesn't have to be like, some people will go boxing, or they go running, or bicycling, or yoga. I think, just to answer for me, I don't have any of that right now, but I do think it's something I would like to focus on moving forward, is some sort of physical stress outlet.
My favorite one so far, and the one I think you should go do, because then I can have an excuse to go do it with you, is pound.
Yes.
It's my favorite. Besides swimming. Swimming is my ultimate. I don't even think of it as exercise. Swimming to me is fun. I don't even, it's not even exercise to me. So aside from swimming, pound is it for me. It is the only exercise I have ever done that I have thoroughly enjoyed and gone back for.
You're forgetting about Fit Body, or what was it? Body Combat.
Body Combat. Yes. I did enjoy that, not nearly as much as pound. I like hitting things.
That's fair. Well, and pound makes sense.
Like that.
Right? And pound makes sense because you are hitting things. It is physical because you're drumming, basically.
Yep.
But also the music. It's very high intense music, and from my metal episode, we know that music is good stress relief too. It can help the brain engage in different ways, and it can just help with the release. So that does make sense. And I also really enjoyed pound.
I loved it. And I like our instructor. She's great too. I will say a couple of weird ones that have helped me a lot with stress. Horseback riding.
Okay.
Which is not something I get to do very frequently. Don't think I am living out on a billion acres with a bunch of horses. I wish that's how I live.
Right.
When I was planning Ryan and I's wedding, it was a small wedding, but it was still a wedding, so it was still stressful.
Right.
And he told me, don't do anything on Saturday. You're not doing that at all. And took me to Holland, and we rode horses.
Aww.
And it was amazing. It sprinkled while we were riding, but it almost made it more magical. And the farm, as we pulled in, we got surrounded by cats and dogs. So when I opened the door to get out, there was a lab. So maybe my animals too.
That's good to touch. So, equestrian therapy is a thing now. People will use horse training as therapy for people with anxiety and different types of issues like that. I think ADHD, some people use it for like that type of stuff. They have therapy dogs everywhere. So now we know that petting a dog or petting an animal is good stress relief. Connor's school has a therapy dog this year.
Carly's too. Yep. Yep. One of theirs retired, but they brought in a new one the year before she retired to learn from her, and he stayed now. I also I remembered this. I was having an episode. I wasn't feeling well, and I thought I was having a panic attack, which has been many, many years since I've had a panic attack. the few times that I have all been triggered by very near-death experiences. Like a very large car accident, and then one time I almost turned my bike into an oncoming car. And that was my very first panic and asthma attack.
Yay!
As you would learn. But I thought I was having a panic attack, so I found my big fluffy dog, who is just a big dopey love bug, and laid down on the floor with my face in her fur. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that wasn't actually what was happening. It was a medical thing, but that was
But it would have calmed you down.
Exactly. That was part of figuring it out, too, because that would have helped. And she's really fluffy, so when she comes over, I can just sink my fingers into her fur, and it feels amazing, even just focusing. The other thing I wanted to briefly touch on, and I want to be careful with this because this is from my work that I've learned this, so I guess I'm not a social worker, I'm not a psychologist, this is just something I've learned.
We're not doctors.
Not doctors. This is very common knowledge, so I'm not trying to plagiarize or steal from anybody. But grounding yourself and using the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, where you stop what you're doing and you look around and name 5 things that you see. Mm-hmm. And then you talk about 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can smell or hear. You know, I usually choose the easier ones. So seeing 5 things is easier than smelling 5 things.
Right. 1 thing you can smell. 2
or
things
taste.
you can touch. Yeah.
So that actually is very helpful because it takes you from that like full panic that you're in. I guess this isn't stress so much as panic attack or an anxiety attack,
but stress definitely, a lot of stress leads right to that.
Yeah. Especially when you start lining yourself up about it. Mm-hmm. And reading. That's my other weird one.
That's always been my shut-off switch. Yeah. If I'm stressed and it's the end of the day and I know there's nothing else that can be done, or I just need to give my brain a break because I can't function because I'm too stressed, losing myself in a book is an instantaneous off switch. Yes. It has literally saved my life in the past, just being able to dive into a good book, and it's
a different world. Yeah,
it changes everything about, and usually by the time I'm done reading or I come out of it, something about my brain has dealt with the situation. I either come out of it with a new idea or at least a new attitude, like
realizing it's not actually as important as it seemed originally.
And it's like a deep breath. Okay, now I can go deal with this.
Yes, I have. My biggest flaw in reading is that typically when I start to read, I don't stop reading.
Yeah, it can become a problem.
So I do try to avoid it if the stress I'm having is because I have too much to do. Mm-hmm. Lists, like you said, organizing yourself, lists are really helpful for me. Sometimes they flaw out because I'll have 7 different lists and suddenly can't figure out how to get started on any of them.
I have too many things to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I also work with Ryan, even just, please don't think I'm stupid, but what do I clean first? Like, I know it's my house. I'm a grown-up. It's my job to clean.
No, absolutely. Sometimes just a text message, especially on my days off during the week, sometimes it's just, what would be useful for me to get done today?
Yes, yeah.
You know, or do you want me to focus on laundry today or the floors?
Right, yes. And just saying that, even sometimes as I'm saying it, I realize what it needs to be.
Right.
But even if he just walks into the kitchen and says, what about groceries? Let's get those put away. Mm-hmm. But normally that means I've recruited him, but also,
right?
We have a path now.
And sometimes part of the stress is just too many decisions. You have too much going on, and even deciding what to eat for lunch just becomes such an overwhelming task because I've already made 300 decisions today.
Yes.
I no longer have the capacity to make decisions. Yep. So I just need someone to look at me and tell me what to eat.
Exactly. Or even to eat.
Right. Just put the food in front of me.
Exactly. Yeah, we found that Ryan does a lot of the dinners because by the end of the day I'm so and a lot of times I pick out the groceries and think of the meals, but he does a lot of the cooking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zach does all of our cooking because he's amazing. I mean, not all of it. I can cook. I just choose not to.
If I ever won the lotto, the first person I would hire is a nutritionist that would just come cook all my food.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to taste like magic, but actually be the healthiest thing I've ever eaten.
Exactly. Perfectly seasoned, perfectly cooked.
Exactly.
I think one other one that I wanted to mention, being outside.
Oh, yeah.
And it can be as simple, sometimes it's just like going for a walk, and
Yeah.
that, I know to an extent that is personal for me, just because my happy place as a child was in the woods at my grandparents' house. It feels comforting to be out in the woods and be in that situation. But also, we live very close to a really big, beautiful lake, and sometimes being in that space and seeing the size and the vastness of it is a really good way to like center myself and take that step back, like you said,
Yes.
and kind of be like, okay, but is it really that important?
Things
Like,
are a lot bigger than they seem right now.
Yeah.
And is me not mopping the floors today actually going to affect anything?
Right. And it usually means I've disconnected at, my phone's off, or it's on silent, or I don't have service, or if I'm on a walk out back, I either leave my phone at home, or it's on silent, or it's only there so I can like listen to bird sounds.
Catch Pokemon.
I mean, yeah. But that then also gives my brain that break where I'm not, expecting to be answering my phone or checking my emails or
Just
anything
no stress
else.
from it.
Yeah.
It's gone.
I'm outside, I'm disconnected, I'm connecting to myself and nature and a bigger picture of things.
Feels refreshing too. Sometimes I just open our windows because the house feels stuffy and like it's heavy and too much, and opening the windows helps a lot. Or literally, even if I don't have a lot of time, just stepping outside and looking at my plants or something can be really helpful. The other, I guess, something I just thought of while we were talking was a lot of parents, first baby parents, brand new babies, are told, put your baby down somewhere safe and exit. Don't leave. You're not leaving the grounds. You're not going off of your property. You're not putting them in a dangerous situation. You can get there if there's an emergency.
Put them in their crib or their car seat or their playpen or wherever they can be belted in, and they're safe and they can't go anywhere, and then walk away.
Because that can be wild stressful. I did it a few times with Carly because it was too much.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I was going to lose it. And she's a baby. She has no idea why I'm losing it, why I'm screaming at her, or...
Why are we screaming at each other?
Exactly. This is very stressful.
It's so loud in here.
So put them somewhere safe. Their screaming for a few minutes will not harm them. They won't even remember it, I promise you. And don't give yourself into that mom guilt or that parent guilt, and go somewhere where everything is going to be safer later.
Take a glass of water. Take a book. Set a timer for 5 minutes.
TikTok for a little while.
Do something to change the situation.
The reason it popped into my head was because of a TikTok, and this mom was there, and she was sitting on her front porch, and she said, I'm feeling all of the guilt because my baby's inside and I've had too much, and I put them down in their crib and they're screaming, and I'm sure they're going to hate me someday. And all of the comments were actually wonderful.
Oh, good.
For once.
So risky.
Everyone was like, nah, you're doing exactly what you need to do, and stick with it. You can do it. Give yourself a break.
Well, and babies feel that stress.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't help anybody if you're both just winding each other up. Taking that, we talked about it, I don't know, maybe the last episode, but Zach and I used to tag team.
Yes.
We'd tag in and out. When I was at the end of my rope, all I had to do was look at him and say, tag.
Yep.
And he knew. He'd step right in, he'd take the baby, he'd leave the room, or, he'd take the baby and say, okay, see ya, go do what you gotta do. And I could go outside or into the base or even to my bedroom and just sit in the quiet for a few minutes.
Yes. When Ryan was working and I was off work for maternity leave, there was a few days where he would come home and I would just look at him and he'd say, okay, everybody get bundled up. And he'd put us all in the car and we would go drive down by the beach. And usually she would fall asleep in the car because she was tired. And I would get time to finally, like you said, see that there's a bigger picture.
Yep.
See that maybe tomorrow will be better. And
be a grown up with my husband for a while versus just mom.
One time he went to Meijer before he got off and bought a Hershey pie. And he came home with plastic forks, and we put Carly in the car, went to the beach, and ate pie at the beach in the car. It was too cold to get out.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It was perfect. And it was just that, I see you, you're stressed, I need to help, but I'm not going to try and tell you what to do because you don't need that.
Yeah. And that's such a good thing to point out before we finish is not only focusing on or being aware of your own stress and how to deal with your stress, but pay attention to the people you love and how you can help them when they're stressed. Not just your spouse, gosh, there's always that quote about, marriage is 50-50, and that's dumb because, what the new one is, marriage isn't 50-50. Some days it's 80% for me and 20% for Zach, but some nights it's 80% Zach and 20% me.
Yeah.
But being able to recognize that in your partner or your child or your friends and your family and take some of that stress off. Sending groceries. If you have somebody, especially during grief or super stressful situations, Shipt has made it really easy to send people groceries. You just put in stuff that you think they'd want, their address, and you can tell them not to even contact them. Just leave it at the door. Don't even knock. You can
listen to what they're saying. If you listen to what they're saying, you might find a need that they don't even know they have. Someone who isn't able to leave their home, an elderly person, someone, who's
with a young kid at home, or
they might need not necessarily just you, but they might need a contact person. They might just need someone to stop by and treat them like a human.
Yeah. Somebody to just have a conversation with that's not virtual or over the phone.
Or a quick perspective. Not that if someone is stressed out, you should try and convince them that they're wrong because it's gonna
it's
gonna make them punch you.
Right.
But when someone says, so-and-so said blah, 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 and I was really ticked off about that. Like, oh, yeah, I would be pretty ticked about that too, but I wonder if they actually meant this. And it might not absorb then, and there is a way to say it kindly and politely without pointing a finger.
Right.
And this is your fault. You're stupid.
You took that wrong.
And you might be wrong. Like, they might have been being a bad person, but at the same time, at least you're relieving them of that pressure of that moment. And that might just be what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just general, self-care. We jumped right over all the usual, like, take a bath, do a face mask, get your nails done, take a nap.
Take a nap.
Something that...
Take a nap and eat a snack. Yeah. And I promise you, when everything is done, nothing will be as severe as it was before that.
And everything comes to an end.
Yes.
You might be in a chaotic time or in the middle of construction or in the middle of something awful, grief or health issues or family issues. There will always be stress, and there are plenty of stresses that we can't control and we can't avoid, but you can take care of yourself and you can find your own ways to manage your stress. And maybe that's as simple as a bath, and maybe it's a 2-mile run, or maybe it's being out in the garage and tinkering with your cars or whatever it is. But stress can kill you. Stress, quite literally,
is awful. Keep yourself in mind. Take care of yourself. I actually chose this topic because of the stress around my current situation, and it's not bad stress. It's good stuff that's going on. It could be bad, but
which almost makes you feel worse when you're stressed out about good things.
Yes.
Like, oh, poor me. I get to redo my upstairs.
Yes. I'm so busy because my upstairs is being beautifully reconstructed, and all of the stuff that's supposed to be up there is downstairs. Woe is me.
And then I have to go on vacation.
Vacation's so hard. But yes, don't get yourself so stressed out that you're killing yourself. It's not. Don't.
And if you can't find ways to manage, and if you are in over your head on this, ask for help.
Yes.
Friends, family, doctors, see a psychiatrist, see a therapist, go to counseling, whatever you have to do. Some of us need medications to help us deal with the day-to-day.
Absolutely,
Whether
yes.
you need an antidepressant to help you get out of bed, to get your stuff done to help your stress level, or an anti-anxiety pill to bring your heart rate down and calm your brain enough so that you can get your stuff done, or an ADHD med to help you separate what has to be done versus what doesn't have to be done, and how to prioritize those things.
Simply a melatonin.
Yeah.
Simply a melatonin pill that will help you fall asleep
Yeah.
at night.
Yeah, or magnesium, or whatever it is. Yoga, meditation.
Iron and vitamin D in my regimen of pills because I'm old now and have a regimen of pills.
Yep. Vitamin D is great for depression and stress because
yeah.
we don't get enough in Michigan because the sun only shines when it wants to.
If you think you're coming upon a stressful part of your lifetime, it's okay to supplement vitamins. It's okay to take emergency. We're doing that right now because our kid just went back to school. We have a Disney trip coming up soon.
On top of cheerleading and sports schedules and all of that. Yes, supplement with vitamins and echinacea and zinc.
Take care of yourself. Have the orange juice in the fridge.
Yeah, and plan for, like you were saying, plan for stressful times. So, we worked really hard on getting the house clean and all of the laundry done before school started.
Meal prep.
Yeah.
If
Anything
you
that
can afford it, have those
the meal boxes.
Yes.
Or, go plan on takeout twice a week if you can afford it, and you can look for healthy options. Anything that can help take
Yum
stuff
Yum
off
is
your
open.
I know, yeah.
Sorry. So random.
We should have just recorded at Yum Yum today.
We should have. We could have called it a celebration. They would have loved it had we set up our equipment in there.
Yeah, at his new desk thing or table.
Taking up an entire, probably 2 tables. I'm
Right.
sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you literally mid-sentence to celebrate that the sushi place is back open.
It's fair.
It was worth it, but I'm very sorry for the interruption.
You should be. You're stressing me out right now, Jessica.
I'm sorry. Do you need to swim?
Yes.
I can put the bounce house up. Oh, they should offer like grown-up bounce houses.
They should.
I'm sad and stressed.
New business plan.
Yes.
It'd be like a rage room, but just a bounce house.
Be careful. Take care of yourself. Watch yourself for stress. Check out the things you can do to help. See the big picture. Pull out the camera. Pan out.
Be real with yourself.
Look at the timeline. And will it matter in 5 minutes? Will it matter in 5 days?
Give yourself grace.
Weeks. Yes. Yes. Give your friends, family grace. You probably already do. Give yourself the grace you give to them.
Yes.
We always say the same stuff, but that's okay.
Question the narrative question the narrative about stress. We don't need to work 60-hour weeks and push ourselves for our jobs.
Even my
or
bosses say
have
so.
perfect houses or make fancy lunches for our child every day.
I do actually need to have the perfect house. The kid can eat Lunchables, but the house
will be perfect.
This has been Dungeons and Dopamine Podcast.
You can listen to us anywhere you stream podcasts and also on YouTube.
Woohoo! You can support us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/dungeonsdopamine.
You should also come find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit.
That's www.
www.
You can talk to us on all of those social medias as well as at dungeonsdopamine@yahoo.com.
Sounded very aggressive.
It is.
Good. Dungeons and Dopamine is edited and published by Argyle Pigeon Productions. That was awesome.
Serious Pigeon.
Serious Pigeon is my favorite.
I'll
He
never
sounds
be
very
able to do
stressed.
it again. He should do some self-care.
He needs to
Okay.
get his nails done.
I'm so sorry, guys. We love you.
Okay. Bye.